I don't know when my shadow looks like it's not blended or that there's not enough green on there, but I promise that in person it looks a lot better. And yeah, I'm a little bit self-conscious about my makeup skills, but that's okay. Open up. Hello and welcome back to A Hint of Suspense. In today's video, I'm actually going to be doing a chit chat get ready with me because I actually have a reason to get ready today. I haven't been really wanting to do my makeup, mostly because of what I'll be talking about today, which is my first trimester pregnancy symptoms. And I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into doing my makeup because I do have to do this in a short amount of time. I've already primed my lids, so I am ready to go in with eyeshadow. Today I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution Reloaded palette in Division, I believe is what it's called, and it has some really pretty that is one of the symptoms, trying to catch my breath every 2 seconds. But it has some really pretty orangey, mustard, and greens in here, and since I'm going to be wearing possibly this shirt, I wanted to do kind of a mustard green look. I'm going to be going in with these two colors mixed together, and I'm just going to use this little essence brush. It's also very affordable. So I probably should have made some notes before starting this video, writing down my symptoms and around when they started. But even at this very early stage, pregnancy brain is very much real, and I currently have that. So I didn't really think about just jotting down exactly what I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna go off of memory, and hopefully I remember everything. Everything was pretty much the same throughout the 13 weeks of my first trimester. And just in case you're wondering, today I am actually 15 weeks and 3 days, I believe. A lot of the symptoms that I had in the first couple of weeks of pregnancy were actually very similar to the symptoms that I unfortunately suffered through every single month. Before I actually start my period every month, I always know that it's coming because I get like little warning cramps. I did have a lot of cramping, and the cramping actually did last for a couple of weeks. Another thing that I always get, bloating. With pregnancy, my bloating kept getting worse and worse, and I looked like I was already 4 months pregnant when in reality I was only 4 weeks. I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon, and it's just gonna be replaced by an actual belly. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of brown because I don't want it to be extremely yellow. I'm just gonna take a little bit of bronzer, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and just add that to the outer corner. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the greens in here, and I'm just gonna mix this one and that one together and slowly add it to the lid. I'm just gonna take a smaller fluffy brush to do that. I accidentally dabbed into that one, but that's okay. I'll mix all three of them and see what color comes out. Okay, this is a TMI video, so if you are uncomfortable with talking about women's bodies, then you probably shouldn't be watching a video about pregnancy symptoms. I have a really easy period, and I don't mind my period. When it comes, I'm actually happy because it means that it's almost over. But unfortunately, I have very bad PMS symptoms, so the week before my period's actually here, I am suffering majorly. Side note, the only reason I took a pregnancy test was because we weren't necessarily very careful that month, and even though we weren't really trying to get pregnant, we were also not trying to get pregnant, if that makes any sense. Even though some of the symptoms were a little bit less severe with pregnancy than they are with regular menstruation, they were still pretty bad. One of those things was fatigue. This type of fatigue was extreme, and it was to the point where I would get so tired that I would start crying because I was just so tired and I wanted to go to sleep. I continued for a while. Even now, like, I get tired easier and I do go to bed pretty early and sleep a lot, but it's not as bad as it was at the beginning. Literally need to take naps even if I had already slept 9 or 10 hour nights. I had no energy, I had no motivation, I was just so tired. So I just went ahead and did the rest of my eyes because if I talk and film at the same time, I will never finish my makeup. But what I did for my eyelids, I actually took my favorite Profusion palette and I just went in with this color right here, which is Legendary from the Confidence palette. And then I also went in with Coin on the inner part of my eye to create kind of this gradient shimmer look. And then I just went in with my NYX matte liquid eyeliner. For my foundation, I'm just going to be using my same foundation, which is the Wet n Wild Dewy and Matte Foundation. I love this combo, and I will continue to use this combo because it's the only one that hasn't irritated my skin. Which brings me to my next symptom. Even though I have not been breaking out, thank goodness, I have been struggling with dry skin, which is completely new to me because I have always been a very oily person. I notice a lot of dryness. It's mostly near my nose and then around my mouth. And also my skin has been super sensitive and a lot of things irritate it. So I've had to stick to the things that I know aren't gonna hurt my face. In terms of skincare and also in terms of makeup. A symptom that I'm actually very thankful and surprised, like extremely surprised that I didn't have, was morning sickness. Even though I did have some nausea, it was never severe and it was never to the point of me actually throwing up like every single day. I probably threw up a total of 2 times in my first trimester. And that was only because I was brushing my teeth. And I know I'm not the only one that gags whenever you brush your teeth, especially when the toothbrush goes a little bit too far up your tongue. Nausea is actually a pretty common symptom for me for PMS. I get a lot of nausea anytime there's some sort of hormonal change in my body, and obviously pregnancy is a giant hormonal change, and I'm thankful that it was only there a little bit. I think a lot of it had to do with me needing to eat, and that was the reason why I would get nauseous. I'm using my e.l.f. Camo Concealer like always. But speaking about eating, suffering from lack of appetite, and I guess that's also pretty normal for me when I'm actually on my period. I don't really have much of an appetite, and even though I do crave like junk food when I'm on my period, I don't tend to eat a lot. I actually lost weight my first trimester, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but it's pretty normal. And I asked my doctor about that, whether it was okay that I had lost weight. I just did not feel like eating ever. I would have to force myself basically to eat because I knew that my baby needed nutrients. I would also take my prenatal, and even though I know that's not supposed to substitute an actual meal, like I knew that my baby was actually getting all of the vitamins that they need. Basically just had to find anything that didn't make me feel completely repulsed. And if I did want to eat something, it was always salty. So I guess that was another pregnancy symptom, is that I was only wanting to eat salty things, and the thought of eating anything sweet just kind of turned my stomach. And I'm getting a little bit of my appetite back. It's still not 100%, and I'm still not like snacking at night, which is super weird for me. I am a snack queen, as my husband always tells me, and that usually means that I enjoy snacking right before bed. And even though I know that that's a really bad habit, it completely went away when I got pregnant. I was just too tired to eat, and I just couldn't think of anything that sounded good enough to eat. So that definitely was probably a contributor to me losing weight. Go in with the Makeup Revolution loose powder. I think it was banana powder. I don't know, they sell it at Ulta. Talking about cravings, didn't really have cravings. I did eat a lot of ramen, which is super random, but even to this day, like the only thing that ever sounds good is ramen. And I'm not even talking about fancy ramen, like I'm literally talking about top ramen, or actually no, I don't really like top ramen. I like Maruchan. Also the super spicy noodles from the Spicy Noodle Challenge. I love those noodles, and even though I don't put the whole packet of spice, because one, that's really bad for me and the baby, but also like diarrhea is a real thing. I do put about 1/4 of the packet, and then I just end up adding the everything but the bagel seasoning. And lately, to try to make myself feel better about eating so much ramen, is I put spinach in there, and it surprisingly tastes good, at least right now while I'm pregnant. I do obviously try to eat a well-balanced diet. I incorporate calcium in my diet through dairy and yogurts. I try to drink smoothies and stuff just to make sure that I'm getting my fruits and veggies in there. And also I am trying to incorporate a lot of protein because apparently baby likes a lot of protein. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my bronzer. A very scary symptom that I experienced a few times in I think it started at either week 7 or week 8. I noticed some spotting. In my heart, I knew that my baby was okay, but it's one of those things where unless you get actual confirmation from a doctor, you still kind of worry about it, and it's still kind of messes with your mental peace. So I did get some spotting, and it was just spotting. It wasn't anything major. It wasn't like I was noticing it on my underwear or anything like that. It was just a couple of times when I would go wipe, I would notice some blood on the paper. At first I was trying to remain calm and remain positive because it was a symptom that my sister experienced in her pregnancy and something that my mom experienced in her pregnancy. And even though I know that every pregnancy and every woman is different, it does run in my family, so I kind of thought about that. But it would happen like one day for like an hour or so, and then it wouldn't happen again for like another few days or like a week later. But since it was still happening, I did bring it up on my first appointment. They basically told me that if it happened again to call them back and that they would give me further instructions. And it actually did happen a couple more times, and I got really scared, so I called them back and I told them about it. And even they, like on the phone, were trying not to scare me, but obviously they were concerned because spotting is still something to look out for. So they did tell me to come in and do some blood work just to check my HCG levels. Blood work looked great, it looked promising. So just to make sure that there wasn't anything else that was the reason for the bleeding. They actually did an ultrasound at 9 weeks. So I didn't get to record that ultrasound because 1, I was by myself, I was really scared. And 2, I actually asked about recording, and since they weren't my actual doctor, they were just kind of a lab that was helping them out, I said no, which kind of made me sad because obviously since I was alone, I wanted to be able to show my husband. They did print my ultrasound. I'm still confused whether it's an ultrasound or a sonogram, but I'm pretty sure it's called an ultrasound. But they printed my pictures and I was able to show my family and show my husband. And that ultrasound was very reassuring because I was able to see my baby's heartbeat. I didn't get to listen to my baby's heartbeat, and even to this day I still haven't been able to hear the baby's heartbeat, but I've been able to see it. The doctor later told me the results of the ultrasound, and yeah, everything was okay, which I'm very thankful for. It was definitely scary in the moment to have to go through that. So even though I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, it's been a struggle to be able to breathe, and especially with masks, it's been extremely hard to be able to breathe and to not feel like I'm about to pass out. I know that there's several factors that contribute to you feeling that way, and also to the feeling of wanting to pass out, or not wanting to, but feeling like you are going to. That happened to me actually at a Target not that long ago, and it was pretty scary because obviously I was wearing the mask, I'm pregnant, I'm not even big, I'm like barely pregnant, and I just can't catch my breath. So I had to literally squat down on the ground and take my mask down a little bit in one of the empty aisles and just try to catch my breath because I was about to faint. And I've never fainted before, so I don't know what that's like, but I don't want to experience it. I've also had a lot of congestion, and I know that it's not that I'm sick because I don't have any other symptoms. It's basically just attributed to being pregnant because there's a lot more blood flowing through you and other substances. So I have been having a hard time with breathing because of that as well. I already had an overactive bladder to begin with, but with pregnancy it's like 10 times worse, and now it's to the point where it literally wakes me up in the middle of the night, and that's super annoying. Especially because I will literally take a sip of something and then 2 seconds later I feel pressure and the need to have to go to the bathroom. And it's not even that the baby's pressing on my bladder, it's just because I guess I'm retaining a lot more water and because there's a lot more fluids in my system. On the other hand, solids are not coming out, and that is really, really unfortunate because it leads to a lot of stomach aches and a lot of probably the reason why I'm not hungry, because I'm already full of it. Yeah, that's an unfortunate, I was gonna say side effect of pregnancy, but it's an unfortunate symptom of pregnancy that I am suffering from. I'm gonna go in with a lighter lip combo just because my eyes are a little bit darker. I'm just gonna go in with a NYX lip pencil, and this one is in the color Natural. I'm also waiting for my lashes to dry. I'm using some, I think they're Ardell Wispies, and I'm using my Kiss adhesive. Speaking of interrupted sleeping, I've been having a lot of crazy, very vivid, and kind of disturbing dreams. Like, not anything that really has to do with my pregnancy. It's more like just weird dreams, like random dreams. And I hear that that's a common symptom of pregnancy, which is super weird. Like, it's so weird the things that a little tiny baby growing inside of you can do. Yeah, I just wake up like super anxious whenever that happens. I feel like with pregnancy at first, like within the first couple of weeks, my anxiety had gotten pretty bad, which is part of the reason why I had to quit working again. I literally only worked for a week, and I'm kind of embarrassed about that, but at the same time my baby comes first, so I'm not gonna put my baby under distress. It's just because I want to feel useful. Anxiety was pretty bad at first, and even my doctor was a little bit concerned to the point where they wanted to try to get me on medication, which I've never been on, and I'm not about to try it while being pregnant. But ever since I stopped working and have just been trying to focus on taking care of this little growing baby inside of me, I've been feeling pretty great. And it's just weird because I would have thought that the hormones, like the change in hormones, especially so quickly, was gonna trigger my anxiety to get really bad, or my depression to get pretty bad, especially because I've been so tired, and especially because I haven't really had the motivation to get out of the house. But honestly, I feel okay. So I went ahead and added my lashes. They're pretty subtle and wispy, which I don't mind. And then I also added a little bit of a highlight on the inner corners, and I used my little e.l.f. Duo highlighter in Bronzed Glow. And I also added a little bit of mascara on the lower lash line, and I just used my Maybelline Colossal. This is still one of my favorite mascaras. And now I'm actually gonna add a little bit of a different lip liner. Can you tell I like this one? This one's also from NYX, and it's in the shade Los Angeles. I don't know why I just said that in Spanish, but Los Angeles, LA. It's in the shade LA. And then I'm gonna fill it in with, this is completely wiped off, but I believe this is a Tarte liquid lipstick in the color Get It. I'm gonna have to edit out so many super deep breaths that I'm taking because talking and bouncing is a lot, apparently. I just like taking my little finger to blend out my lip color. I like keeping little Q-tips handy for when I overdraw my lips, or for my eyes to clean them up a little bit. Like underneath here where I have some mascara smudged, I like to use this to clean it up. But anyway, I never really experienced severe breast tenderness, which I know for a lot of women that's one of the very first signs of pregnancy, but for me, I don't really have breast tenderness even on regular cycles. I probably have a little bit of sensitivity or a little bit of soreness, but it hasn't really been that bad. It's just they have gotten bigger and I'm not extremely happy about it. My husband is. He is thrilled about that, but I'm not a big fan. I have already decent sized breasts. They have become a little too much for my own personal liking, which I'm really hoping that they will go back to normal at some point in my life. Like, I know it's unrealistic to think that they'll go back to normal anytime soon, especially after giving birth if I am able to breastfeed. I know that there's going to be even more changes going on to my body, and I'm okay with that because obviously this is for a good cause. It's for a very wonderful reward at the end of these 9 months. That's pretty much all the symptoms that I have been having. Is this a look? Because it kind of looks like a look. Okay, so I just wanted to come back on here and show you the finished look, show you my hair. I just brushed out the curls, and then I also added a little bit of jewelry. But I also wanted to show you my little baby bump because I think it's really cute and it's actually starting to look like a real baby's growing in there. On the front, it doesn't really look that noticeable yet. It just looks like I ate some pizza. But from the side, you can definitely see that there's a little bump in there. Here's the other side. I swear I've recorded this outro a bunch of times, but my eyeshadow looks like it's not blended and it's driving me crazy. But that's gonna be everything for this video. Don't mind my eyeshadow. I swear in person it doesn't look that bad, okay? And also I'm pregnant, so I'm hormonal and sensitive, so don't be mean. But that's gonna be everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit something about pregnancy and the weird things that it does to you and your body. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about my pregnancy as it progresses, please stick around and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.